Hamburg are really pushing to complete the signing of Fábio Vieira from Arsenal. He was on loan at the club last season, and Hamburg were impressed with his performance. They intend to build their team around him, but right now are trying to negotiate a lower fee, something lower than the 22 million euros, option to buy price tag attached to his loan deal. It will be interesting to see how negotiations play out, but I feel it's time for Fábio Vieira to take a bow from Arsenal. We saw glimpses of what he could offer, but it just wasn't the perfect fit at Arsenal. He had his struggles here and there, especially with the physicality of the league. So all the best to him if he eventually gets the move away. Gabriel Jesus is another player who could be leaving this summer. There are reports suggesting that AC Milan, Juventus and Atlético Madrid have shown interest in the player. However, AC Milan did not make it to the UCL, which means financially they might be constrained to do a deal for Gabriel Jesus. However, Atleti is still a solid option. They have Griezmann leaving the club at the end of the season and could also potentially lose Julián Alvarez in the summer. That leaves an opening up front, and his player plus cash deal involving Gabriel Jesus going to Atlético Madrid and Julián Alvarez coming the other way might entice Atlético Madrid. Julián Alvarez, on the other hand, has informed Atlético Madrid that he wants to leave the club. He has refused to negotiate a new contract with the club, and reports state that his preferred destination is Barcelona. We've seen them struggle in previous transfer windows to complete transfers for players like Dani Olmo. So the Julián Alvarez deal would actually be very complicated for them to complete, with Atlético Madrid demanding anything from 100 million to 130 million euros for the player. Arsenal are actually very interested in Julián Alvarez. Andre Barca is ready to test Atlético Madrid's resolve by putting out offers after the UCL final. Alvarez is also open to alternative options to Barcelona, knowing fully well that the price tag attached to his transfer might actually dissuade Barcelona from completing a deal. So it will be interesting to see how that plays out. If he completes a move to Arsenal, he will definitely add some more steel to our attack that we need to be able to effectively defend the EPL title next season. It's a transfer I'm really looking forward to. I hope we pull it off. If we do, it will be our biggest transfer for the summer, and it will be one that will be very much welcomed by many Arsenal fans. Sandro Tonali is another player that has been included in reports connecting him to Arsenal. Manchester United obviously have shown their interest in the player because they need a couple of marquee signings in midfield, seeing that Casemiro is set to leave the club. However, Sandro Tonali's agent was at the Emirates some weeks back in one of the games, and reports suggest that they were in preliminary discussions with Andre Barca to gauge Arsenal's interest in the player. Arsenal have always retained interest in Sandro Tonali. However, his price tag might just be the reason why we don't complete that deal. Newcastle will be demanding anything from 80 million pounds and above. Arsenal have shown interest, but let's see if they have the transfer budget to go for major signings like Alvarez alongside big signings like Sandro Tonali. Arsenal have added Tijjani Reijnders of Manchester City to their midfield shortlist. The way Andre Barca likes to operate is to have multiple options for each position the club wants to recruit for. And seeing that Sandro Tonali will have a high price tag, it's only reasonable that he gets a cheaper alternative. And that cheaper alternative is Tijjani Reijnders. He joined Manchester City last season for around 50 million pounds. Had a very impressive start to his EPL journey. However, at some point midway through the season, his form fell off, and Pep Guardiola used him mostly as a substitute. But in there, there's still a good player, and Mikel Arteta would fancy his chances to kind of revive, the talent in him. It will be interesting to see how the midfield drama plays out. But the options are looking good. Sandro Tonali is obviously my preferred signing for the midfield. But if we get someone like Tijjani Reijnders, what it will simply mean is Tijjani Reijnders will be coming in as an 8. He's not obviously a holding midfielder. He plays box to box. If he comes in as an 8, it means Rice and Zubimendi will play as 6 in the squad. And then Reijnders, Kelly, Merino can play 8. Arsenal is really looking to sign a marquee player for the left wing. and recent reports indicate that that player is Morgan Rogers. Morgan Rogers has been approached by Arsenal with initial talks taking place. The Aston Villa star is open to a move after a very stellar season with Aston Villa where they won the Europa League. His stats also are very impressive with 26 goals and assists this season. He is Premier League proven, great attacking player who can do everything. He can score, he can create, he can dribble. He's also quick, so he's the ideal player for the left wing. And the reason why Arsenal are taking him quite seriously is because with the right amount, Aston Villa will be willing to sell. But more importantly is the fact that he has played in the English Premier League and has proven himself to be a formidable player in attacking areas. Another reason would be his versatility. He can play on either side of the wing, and he can also play through the middle as an attacking midfielder. He would be a much cheaper option to Kvaratskhelia of PSG. PSG would not be willing to let Kvaratskhelia go easily. The player they will be willing to let go is Bradley Barcola. If the deal for Morgan Rogers doesn't go as planned, because that's the person Arteta is really pushing for, then Arsenal will fall back to the second option, which is Bradley Barcola. Bradley Barcola also is a subject of interest for many clubs, including Liverpool. Arsenal still retain an interest in Barcola, but it's not the main target for that left wing. So let's watch out to see how that plays out. Trossard came in from Brighton, didn't really need to adapt to the league, pretty much hit the ground running. At this stage, this is what we need. We need Premier League proven players who could come in and instantly elevate the level of the squad. So players like Sandro Tonali, players like Morgan Rogers are just a perfect fit. And even Julian Alvarez, who has played in the league before, are just no-brainers. You bring them in, they really don't need much time to settle because it's a league they've been playing in. So they just have to adapt to the playing style of the squad and get on with their business. So these are the stories that are connected to us now ahead of the summer transfer window. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. See you on the next one.